to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today I want to talk about why things happen the way they do. I don't have the answer to that, but I'm going to talk about why I'm always focused on the why instead of the how, and how my action or my job is not to figure out why, but to figure out how can I do my part? How do I play my role in my own life and be of service to others and so on and so forth. So before I get into that, I did want to talk about what has happened over the past 3 days and why I was not able to record. That seems to be the trending issue lately. I did remind you last week that this is not a signal that this podcast is going away. It's simply a signal that I am overloaded with the move coming up. I've been packing, so I just took a break from packing my cookbooks and coffee mugs in order to come up here and do the podcast to make sure that it is done for the day, make sure I get my side of the recovery contribution for my life, and this is how I do it. So this is part of my recovery is opening my mouth, and I'm down there. I'm down there packing. I have no music playing. I have no audiobook playing. And yet I have full entertainment between my ears. I have no idea if I were to think right now, like, what was I thinking while I was packing? I don't know. But it seems like I'm very busy between my ears. And that is also a sign that I need to come up here and sit down with you and talk about what's going on. So there's packing. Bailey came to town. She ran, for those of you who follow me on social media, I shared on Facebook and Instagram that Bailey had a half marathon in DC this weekend. She did amazing as usual. She's my little athlete and I love her so much. So it was nice to have her in town, and she said it was the funnest half marathon that she has done. She said there were like hilarious signs along the way that she was laughing at. And like people were handing out watermelon and pickle juice and all kinds of stuff to the runners. So she just had a great time. And I said,
Unknown caller.
oh, sorry, I have an unknown caller. I'm just gonna let that go right to voicemail. We're gonna keep going. So, I was telling her when she was about to drive away yesterday, I was like, your running is a community, just like all of the communities that I care so much about, my stroke recovery, vestibular recovery, and my sobriety. And so that joy that you get from running, not just the adrenaline and all of the achievement, but also that camaraderie is just exactly what I get. It's people coming together with a common purpose. So I think it's cool. I'm really happy that she has that. It's the same as my son who on a weekly basis goes and does his music stuff. It's coming together with a bunch of people that have the common goal of music. It fills them up, and that's amazing to be able to find that thing in your life that makes you feel that way. And I feel really grateful that both of my kids found that thing, because my thing seemed to be drinking, and I didn't find out really what things I enjoy underneath the drinking once that was taken away. I didn't figure that out, I should say, until that was taken away, until I stopped drinking. And then I found that number one, I learned that you can have fun without drinking. That was a big lesson for me. I truly did not believe you could, or I could. I didn't think I could. But once I realized that you can have fun without drinking, then it was, my life was open to whatever thing that I wanted to do because all of a sudden I had so much time on my hands. I had no idea how much time I was wasting throwing beverages down my gullet. So, um, yeah, so that was this weekend. I really wanted to spend all of my time with her. And I got my hairs dids as well. And Bailey came with me, and my friend, who was a coworker of mine, she also came. And my hairdresser, we all had lunch together while my hair was coloring. So it's really fun. We had kebabs. And it was a nice weekend. So now I've got people coming out of the woodwork to sign up and help me pack. And that's been amazing. This is the kind of stuff that when I was drinking, I couldn't see past my own wine glass to see that somebody else might need my help with anything. So, being in sobriety, it's like the community itself is so it's is always there, available to help in any way, and they just come out of the woodwork to offer help. So I had somebody here yesterday that was helping me pack up artwork. And then today I have another friend coming to pack up our kitchen. And so it's been really nice. And then my sissy and my brother-in-law are coming this week to help pack as well. I'll probably still be on the kitchen by Wednesday. So it's been nice and so much needed in order to pack. It's a lot for me. I slept like a baby last night. So that was nice. I haven't been sleeping very well because of all the stress from, are we going to get an offer on our house? Are we going to meet the deadline for the contingencies? And all of that stuff is just, oh boy, a lot of just up in my head. So that's probably what I was thinking while I was packing today is all of those little odds and ends that I'm trying to button up. So that's what my life is like right now. I have lots of symptoms, but that's no, well, I mean, I always have symptoms. They're just a little worse right now. And so I'm just moving forward with them, knowing that when we finally get to our destination, I get to go for a walk with Autumn and walk like 5 houses down, and I'll be standing at a beach and looking over a lake, a gigantic lake, and I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be all worth it. So switching gears, today I wanted to talk about why things happen the way they do, like that mystery of why. That, when you have little kids, you tell them, well, we need to pick up your room and be ready, be all done by 4 o'clock or something like that. And they say, why? Well, why? Well, it doesn't matter why. We just have to do it. That's what we have to do today. Why? Um, there are some kids that ask why more than others. And I think my daughter is one of those asking it more. I don't think my son ever asked why. I'm not sure. I don't recall him asking why, but I remember Bailey asking why multiple times a day. Almost every time my mouth opens, she asks me why. But why does not belong to us. And I need to learn that in my recovery. Why belongs to God. And my role, my job is to accept what is happening not figure out why it's happening. And that goes back to that lack of control, letting go of trying to manage people, places, and things, and embracing that principle, thy will be done, not mine. When I had my friend over yesterday and we were packing, the very first thing she wrapped with paper, it was a small little china plate, and she started wrapping it, and I immediately stepped in and corrected the way that she was wrapping it. That's my character defect. I don't need to correct the way that she's packing. I think what I wanted to make sure that she knew that you don't have to go overboard with my china. Like it's yes, it's china, but I don't want you to just I want you to relax and pack it the way that you would pack your own china. Don't try to wrap it up even more just because it's mine or anything like that. So that's what I was trying to do. But when I said something to her because she's part of my program, and I said this is the control issue. This is part of my control issue, and we talked it out really quick. It was she actually shared with me why I didn't want to pack it like I would pack it, and I said no, pack it the way you would pack it with your own stuff. I did feel like I was being too controlling during packing yesterday, but hopefully I didn't scare her away, scare her away from me. I wasn't like directing her around or anything. I just felt like, I guess it's my house, so I could share my I don't know, opinion about things. I rest assured I was totally kind and grateful. But when I think back, you know how you do things and then you think back and you're like, "Ugh, I hope I didn't come across like controlling or anything like that." So that's just what I've been thinking over the past 24 hours. Um, Anyway, when I was thinking about this control thing and acceptance and the why and all of that stuff, I was thinking about how this feels like my life feels like I'm just walking through this garden. And sometimes I get my shoe wrapped around like this ivy and weeds, and they struggle, or I struggle to like move my foot forward when these weeds and ivy are holding it back, and I'm pulling and it's pulling me back, um and yet, underneath all of that, there's still those roots and those bulbs that are living underground and waiting to bloom after I figure out that struggle. And I don't have to figure out like what caused this weed, what drifted into my garden, what wind blew something into my garden that planted this weed, and now I'm struggling with it. I'd never get loose if I spent all my time figuring out why the weed was there, and the metamorphosis that had to happen in order for that to be there. I don't need to think about the why. What I need to do is figure out how am I going to untangle my foot, right? And so even in these moments, these winter moments where I can't see the garden, but I know that it's under there, preparing to emerge in the next season, that is faith that helps me to understand that there's a beautiful garden under the surface that's just waiting to be nurtured and grow. But at the moment, I just need to untangle myself from what I see in front of me. Um, That was what I was thinking of. This topic came up, I think it was yesterday, and that's what I was thinking of with the why versus the how. Um, the Today there was our topics. I don't remember what the topics were, but I kept being super focused on these moments in my life where before I quit drinking, where I was going to like conferences for work. And this was several jobs or a couple jobs that I was with that I had to go to these conferences. And I remember sitting in particularly in one of the speaker sessions in San Francisco. No, San Diego. I was in San Diego and I was all dressed up, in it was pretty typical for me to overdress. So I was all dressed up in my heels and all kinds of stuff. And I remember sitting in the speaker session and I remember just trembling on it. I felt like it was only happening on the inside. I felt like it was underneath my skin. My brother and I talk about a lot about familial tremor syndrome because we felt like we both had it because my father has it. My That's our understanding. So my brother shakes a lot, and I used to shake a lot. And I knew that when I was drinking and going through withdrawal, I definitely didn't call it withdrawal. I looked at it as I need a drink, but yeah, it was withdrawal. And I just remember sitting there, that familial tremor syndrome feels like your nerves are like jumping under your skin, but yet nobody can see it, but you can feel it. And it's so noticeable to myself that I feel like I'm just gonna just start shaking like an earthquake, like my whole body. It felt like I was about to have like a seizure. It was so, so bad. Um, I felt like I was like unraveling on the inside. And no wonder I was so self-centered during all of that time because I felt like my body was breaking down. I mean, my body was breaking down. And then alcohol was the thing that I needed in order to pull me back together again. Like I had all these strings that were connected to all of my parts, and once I had alcohol in me, all of those strings became taut again, and it pulled me right back together. But as I kept doing that, like feeling like I'm unraveling and then drinking and pulling myself back together, like those strings were wearing away. They were dry rotting, and it made me feel like I had this control that I never really had. Alcohol was giving me a temporary relief, but it was only masking the greater despair that I had. It was an illusion. It was an illusion of control. And I I spent a lot of my time back then trying to figure out why. Why was I falling apart? And I never was pointing to the alcohol. Um, I was always blaming somebody else, whether it was my ex-husband or my boss at the time or whatever it was. I was the victim, and the only control that I seemed to be able to capture was using alcohol. And it was just simply an illusion. So I'm I'm trying to, like, I'm getting that temporary relief. And then while I have the relief, that released my concerns about why I was feeling as terrible as I was. And I would ricochet back into the why. One, you know what I mean? Like I would drink and I would calm and I would settle and I would relax. And then I'm like, okay, this is why I feel this bad. It's everyone's fault but mine. And so this why thing has followed me through every phase of my life, even today, even in stroke recovery. Oh my gosh. I mean, those of you who've been listening since the very beginning, you remember me constantly talking about why did I have the stroke? And I I blamed the COVID vaccine, um, and I blamed I blamed the COVID vaccine. That's really what I blamed. Um, but the doctors would not give me a 100% like, this is why you had it. It was like, you were on birth control. Sorry, my brain's not moving as fast as my mouth is. You were on the birth control. You have factor five leading when I got my blood work done, which means I lean towards clots. Nobody would ever say the COVID vaccine, but I had my stroke 7 days after my second COVID vaccine. I had a clot in my arm the day after my first COVID vaccine. So I was clotting, and that was like the perfect storm. The COVID shot was the perfect storm. And to me, I'll always believe that. But why do I always think that that's going to fix something? Why do I feel like honing in on why I had a stroke makes any difference in my life? It doesn't make any difference. I still had it. I think it matters because I don't want to have another one, but I want to blame somebody, and there's nobody I can blame. Um, what I have to focus on is how do I move forward with the cards that I've been dealt? And when I when I actually got sober, it took a lot of the listening to other people sharing about the hopelessness that they felt and recognizing myself in their stories. And to my amazement, these people were saying the exact same struggles, the exact same thoughts that I had during those deep, dark times when I was drinking, that hopelessness. I thought it was, I thought I was the only one. And these people in this meeting would talk about the same thing. And with my drinking, when I got into sobriety, I was wanting to blame somebody else. I used to believe, I truly believed this, and sorry if you're listening, but I truly believed that I drank that way because of my ex-husband. I believed that I was an alcoholic because I was led to it because I had a bad marriage. And that was not true. But I couldn't even see past that. I couldn't see past my own glass. You know, it's the same thing. I couldn't see. I just kept pointing my finger and looking outward. I could never look in the mirror. And it wasn't until I heard people brave enough to share about that scary stuff and actually smile and talk about how they were living freely now and they don't have to struggle that way anymore. They don't have to figure out, they don't have to focus on the why am I here? Why am I here with a bunch of drunks talking about how terrible my life is? Um, the why doesn't matter. And in fact, the why is because I have a disease. Why do I have a disease? It doesn't matter. Um, why am I an alcoholic is as pertinent to my life as why did I have the stroke? Um, what I have to focus on in my life, I have to live in the how. I have to live in the how do I move forward? What action can I take? I need to live a life of action, not live a life of thinking why. And as I continue to move forward in the how, then I get to start living freely like those other people. And in stroke recovery, same thing. When I started to be able to let go of the why do I have a vestibular disorder? Why am I disabled? Why is this condition not going away? And instead start living in the how can I live with this condition? How can I live disabled? What are the things that I can do rather than what I can't? Why can't I do, right? Why can't I do the things that I used to do is no longer something that I'm seeking all the time. Instead, it's how can I do new things? And how can I have joy now, today, with a disability? And then being able to share my experience so that I can offer hope to others that are still struggling. Um, it's it's my job once I figure out how to show other people, show newcomers how what life can be like on the other side of that kind of despair. It's my job to show others
Unknown caller.
how to smile and laugh and talk openly about my struggles. Um, I want to talk about somebody this morning said in the meeting, it really, really struck me so nicely. Um, this woman in my meeting said, um, I see so much. She was talking about another woman in the meeting and said, I see so much love in you. And I thought, and she said, that's what I notice those things now. That's what she said. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's, and being able to talk openly about that, being able to talk about, I see love in you that I don't see. You know, when you meet somebody and their eyes kind of like sparkle, you can tell how happy they are. Um, I noticed that today, and I guess, the courage to tell that person that you look happy. You look like you're full of love, that kind of thing. It was really beautiful when she said that. And it was just like an instant that she said that. And I thought, that's what this is all about. It's about showing the newcomers in the meeting that we love each other. This is like family here. And these people I've never met in person. I've only seen them online in the meeting, but I love all of them. And, I love the people who listen to my podcasts because you're being of service to me, even though you have no idea. Every time you hit play, it is lifting me up. I can see that people are hitting play. If you click the like button, I feel like I'm even more loved. And I don't get a lot of likes, but I do get a lot of listens. And I figure nobody's going to be push and play if they don't like it. You don't have to be listening, but I would love a like if you listen. I know some of the platforms that you listen to, you can't hit like, but if you are so inclined, I would love to get a like. But anyway, what's the point? The point is like living in the answer, living in the how, living in the faith and the acceptance and community. Like all of this stuff keeps me rooted. It keeps me rooted in the how so that I can stay away from the why. Um, I don't want to know why things happen. I need to know how to walk through them with grace. And I need to, on a daily basis, hand over the why. My part is to live in acceptance and keep walking through my garden, roots and ivy and weeds and all, um, and know when to let go of control, when to just buckle down and deal with that thing that is right in front of me. Focus on learning how to accept it. Learning, is this something that I can change or I can't change? And this ability to do this, man, it takes daily work. It takes absolutely, it takes daily work. But when I stop trying to demand answers that aren't going to come, um, I I find freedom in that, and I can be fully present when I surrender the why. Um, I need to have faith. It really comes back to faith. If I have faith, then I have hope. And um, and that's what it comes down to for me. And sometimes when I feel like I'm getting caught up in the why, I talk to my psychiatrist about it. I share about it in meetings, and a lot of times, and I've experienced this a lot over the past 2 years, I need to just sit back and wait. I just need to sit back and wait. Sometimes the winter season, there is nothing to untangle from my feet or anything. Sometimes you just have to wait through the season for all of those bulbs and stuff to bloom again. And there's nothing to be done. There's no action to take. Sometimes the greatest action I can take is no action at all. And I recently did an episode on knowing, like, listening to that self-talk and knowing what the next right thing is. And that's what comes to mind, like, how do I know when to wait and to take action? That's a good one. That's a good question. So go back and listen to that one. It was a few days ago if you're interested in that. And that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for showing up for me and showing up for yourself, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.